Hello, welcome to From the Floor, a mini show showcasing the games currently at Twincade Arcade Bar in Griffith, Indiana. Today we're going to take a look at Street Fighter III Third Strike, released by Capcom in 1999 for the arcades. It's often hailed as the greatest version of Street Fighter by many fans. It's today's subject on From the Floor. My Street Fighter III Third Strike is housed in this humongous arcade cabinet dubbed the Big Blue by arcade collectors. You'll often see these same cabinets run in various Street Fighter iterations and other Capcom games. When I purchased this game, it was totally dead and we were not sure if we were going to be able to revive it. The machine runs on what's called a CPS-3 system. The system runs on a security-enhanced CD and battery-powered cartridge. Our cartridge we purchased was sold to us with a dead battery, and when the battery dies in this cartridge, the game is toast. After tons of research and trial and error, we were able to bring the game back to life by installing a newly updated battery module. And Viola, the battle begins. The cabinet includes an extra-large marquee, sound-enhanced speakers with Q audio, and a roomy control panel to comfortably fit 2 players at once. The controls are typical of all Street Fighter II and beyond machines. It includes a 1 and 2 player setup, each with a multi-directional joystick and 6 buttons. 3 top buttons are for punches, and the bottom 3 for kicks of varying strengths. You can move left or right, crouch or jump with the joystick, and point away from your opponent will block. Like most other Street Fighter games, Third Strike is a 2D fighter that focuses on the player learning character special moves and attacks in order to stay on the defense or offense. Some of the special moves that Street Fighter popularized are a quarter circle with a button to perform fireballs or other moves depending on the character. Another common special attack is performed by moving the stick forward, down, then down forward in a Z shape and concluding the move with a button. This will release the famous Shuriken or Dragon Punch used by characters Ken and Ryu. All characters have their own moves, and learning them to perfection is a key in becoming a seasoned player. The defining mechanics of Third Strike that set it apart from the other games in this series is the parry, a way to completely negate the damage dealt by an attack by moving the stick toward the opponent's attack with perfect timing. It's more powerful than just blocking because it allows you to counter-attack right away, if successful. But it's a huge risk because if your timing is not totally perfect, you're going to take massive damage. To win a round, you must deplete your opponent's health bar at the top of the screen. Various attacks have varying degrees of power, and typically the harder a move is to pull off, the more health bar it'll consume. To win a match, on typical settings, a fighter must win 2 out of 3 rounds. When Street Fighter III New Generation was released for the arcades in 1997, in a controversial move, the game developer Capcom included a totally new roster of 12 characters, with the only characters from Street Fighter II returning being Ken and Ryu. The game's new lead character was a new face named Alex, who was based on professional wrestler Hulk Hogan. And the old villain, M. Bison, was now replaced by a cult leader named Gil, who could manipulate fire and ice. The next version of Street Fighter III, called Second Impact, included 3 new characters, one of them being Akuma, who first appeared in Super Street Fighter II Turbo as a hidden boss and was primarily, up until this point, mainly featured in the Street Fighter Alpha games. And finally, when the Street Fighter III Third Strike was released in 1999, it added 5 more characters, bringing the character count to 20. Most notably, Capcom brought back crowd favorite Chun-Li, who had been a staple in Street Fighter II. A rare unofficial fan update called Fourth Strike, which includes some balance changes to the characters, exists as well. And it was in our cabinet when we first put it on the floor, until we decided, based on input from local Street Fighter players, to go back to Third Strike. Street Fighter has a rich, complex, and rewarding history and a fantastic following of tournament players and casual gamers from all generations. There's also tons to learn, like combos, the parrying system, specials, and much, much more. With so much to discover and challenge yourself, it could take years to become a master at Street Fighter III Third Strike.
Street Fighter III Third Strike is a popular fighting game even till today, and I remember I never played it in the arcades. I actually first played it on the Dreamcast, and what was cool about the Dreamcast was, the Saturn was great for 2D fighters, and it was almost as good as the arcade version, but not quite, whereas the Dreamcast you were getting, you know, games that were as good, if not better, than the arcade version. And I think Third Strike was definitely one of those games. You know, they reintroduced Chun-Li, which was a big thing for fans of the series because Chun-Li obviously is a character that everyone loves. And the parry system, you know, that guard parry was really cool and it was really innovative and it made that game stand out more. And there was things that new Street Fighters have since adapted from that game, such as, you know, ranking at the end of the rounds. And it's just a great game. It's a game that I think a lot of people, when it came out, they were like, oh look, another 2D Capcom fighter, because Capcom was putting out so many 2D fighters during that time frame on the Dreamcast, PS2, GameCube. I mean, there were so many. But as time has gone on, I always say cream of the crop rises to the top. And now people realize how great Third Strike really was. And there's a huge following of the game. And I could see why. It's a game that I always love to pop into my Dreamcast and play it. It's so fun. It looks great. It's still very fluid. And the gameplay is still rock solid. So I love Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. And maybe one day I'll play it in the arcades if I ever come across an arcade cabinet for it. Because I'd really like to see how it is in the arcades. As, you know, I've only played it on the Dreamcast. So Third Strike, badass game.
All right, thanks for joining us on this episode of From the Floor, all about Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Also, a very special thanks to our guest, RGT85. He has a tremendous YouTube channel with tons of content. He's one of the leading authorities on all things retro gaming. You can check out a link to his channel in our description. And as always, be sure to like and subscribe to our channel and give us a comment below because we love talking to you. And we'll see you next time on From the Floor.